Welcome to another episode of Live with Laura. For those of you who are watching us live, or maybe who listen to us later today on this Monday, March 2nd, here in the St. Louis area, you're going to look out the window and think, it is dreary out there. My goodness, we have rain coming down. It's kind of cold. But here's the thing, friends. Something my mom told me a long time ago is, Laura, it is up to you to bring your own sunshine. And I have a feeling our guest for today's Live with Laura definitely feels that way. She started a nonprofit many of you have probably heard of, helping hand-me-downs. And even if you have not heard of it, there's a very good chance maybe someone in your circle has used their services, or one of the nonprofits you love has teamed up with them in the past. So here we go. Let's find out all the details behind this amazing nonprofit with the founder, Stephanie Suljak. Stephanie, it's good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So for people not familiar with helping hand-me-downs, what do you do?
So we provide the necessities for local families in need. We work through a network of social workers. We have about 150 different agencies that we work with. The social worker refers that family to us, and we essentially meet an order. We pack an order for them. And it could be anywhere from just clothing. Maybe mom just needs a little help with that. Or she may need the whole thing. She may need a car seat to get the baby home from the hospital. She may need a pack and play for safe sleep. She may have other children that need clothing. Whatever it is, we really try to meet that need.
And you've been doing this for a long time.
Longer than I would like to admit some days because it ages me. But this is our 15th year, which is it's weird because I feel like we just started it yesterday. But at the same time, I feel like I've been doing this my whole life. I kind of forget about my business life before this.
I would have to think there was a moment prior to 15 years ago that happened in your life where you said, I need to create something to help other people. Is that true?
Of course it is.
So what happened?
Of course. Everybody has their moment. I had been in the business world for, I think it was like 12 years maybe in different roles. And recently I had been in a role that I led a business unit, and it was great. Like it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the travel. But I just was missing my kids. I wasn't home a lot of nights. I felt like I was missing their childhood. So we got bought out by another company, and I took the payout. I was like, I am out of here. Like, do not ever call me again, kind of thing. And became kind of a stay-at-home mom for a little bit while I could, and just decided that I wanted to be a foster mom. I had 2 girls at the time, and just wanted to love on some other kiddos that maybe needed a home. And I became a foster mom. And at the same time, I started to recognize all these needs in the community that I just really had no idea. I knew people were in need, but I didn't know the amount. I didn't know the volume. In my mind, there were a couple hundred families in St. Louis that could use help. And wow, was I wrong. So that's just kind of what spawned the idea of helping hand-me-downs. And from there, we just worked out of the house in the beginning. And now we've got a couple thousand square feet in Ellisville, and we're working on a building campaign for almost tripling that size. So,
congratulations.
Thank you.
So 15 years in, it doesn't sound like you have any intentions of slowing down. Rather, you want to keep growing this.
Yes. I think initially I started it more for fun. Not that it's fun to necessarily see people struggling, but just more of a hobby. Like this will be a good time. And quickly, I think you just realize there's such a need. It's like you have to help. If you know that somebody needs something and you're capable of helping them and you don't, what kind of person are you?
I definitely wanted to talk about the need in St. Louis sometime during this conversation, and I think now is a great time. How much of a need is there for our families?
I don't know that anybody actually can give you that straight number. I'm sure that there's people living in poverty. I'm sure there's poverty numbers. I'm sure there's all sorts of census data. But what we're finding is that it's not just those families. You're talking about families who have just come on a hard time just from, who knows? Dad lost a job. Maybe dad's not involved. There's a wreck or an accident or something. And families come to us all the time that it's their first time ever seeking help from anyone. And it's really heartbreaking to hear the stories, but it's also very rewarding to be able to meet that need.
And how does it work then?
So the family will be assigned a social worker, and there are so many amazing social service agencies here in St. Louis. We are really fortunate, and that social worker walks alongside them with what do you need, how can we help you, and then they will submit a referral to us. We pack that order and we meet the need that way. So the social worker will come and pick up the order and deliver it to the family. And it's kind of a checklist, I think. The social workers that I've talked to, they're working on safe housing, employment, clothing for the kiddos, backpack for the kiddos, whatever that might be. And so they're just working through a checklist of how can we get this family from crisis to stability.
So with helping hand-me-downs, your spot in Ellisville, how often are people in your location? What are they doing when they're there? And the orders that you get, kind of please walk me through what an order might look like.
Sure. Well, we'll start with the people who are there. We have the best volunteers ever, and I will fight anybody over that because we absolutely do. We have the most amazing people. We have men and women that show up on a regular basis, so they may have a day or two or three a week where they come in and they just head down, get it done. And we have so much fun doing it. And I think it's because the atmosphere is an atmosphere of service, and there's like that joy. The people who show up aren't there to check off a list and say, oh, I did my good deed for the day or good deed for the week. They're there because they want to, and they want to impact their community, and they found their place. And it's a really neat thing to see. And watching them fill the orders is probably one of the most rewarding parts of my job, because you get to see these women, because typically the women do fill the orders, the men are on the other side of the fence, but that's a whole nother story. But you see them lovingly pick out toys and books for that child, and they're making sure that they're age appropriate. They're making sure that there's something that their child or their grandchild would enjoy. They're not just throwing junk in a bag and going, yeah, we filled it, you're good. Put it out the door. They're really seeking to make sure they understand that kid and that child is feels seen, which is wonderful.
And I would have a feeling that's why the volunteers are so loyal, because they have such a personal connection to who they're helping.
I think that's true. I think it's true. And we've seen the last couple of months, I've seen an interesting evolution where a lot of the social workers are coming, the volunteers are coming in, and they're bringing in stuff that they've picked up from the store or they found at home because they thought it would be a great supplement to something that we're doing. An interesting example of that is one of the things we realized, and I don't know why it took us so long. I think I was probably in the way, maybe, who knows? But one of the things we realized is we were serving the children, we were serving the new baby, but we might have been overlooking mom. And it's like, man, how did we miss that? And so we started creating these postpartum bags, and the postpartum bags have stuff in them. Just, one of our volunteers, Mary Beth, I mean, she's just amazing. She will bring in slippers and, candles or a bathrobe or a Stanley or something, and we put these bags together, and it just makes these moms, the goal is that they get that and they feel like, oh, that's so nice, somebody thought of me. And like I said, that was a big miss, I think, for us initially. But now that we have it in our sights and we're doing it, I feel like it's just such a win, and I feel like it's really upped our game a lot.
And kudos to you for recognizing that the model was working, but let's add in these extra pieces. I remember, my goodness, and I'm sure you do too, your first couple of weeks after having a baby, and the focus is on the baby, as it should be, and maybe the other kids in the house. But someone brings you a robe, some slippers, a nice smelling candle. Gosh, I have a huge water jug with me right now. Having that next to you, well done for evolving too.
Thank you.
Where are other products coming from that you give out to the community?
The majority of the items that we receive come straight from the community. And as I think I mentioned to you earlier, we put them right back out within a week. I mean, nothing sits in our warehouse or our packing area. I mean, it comes in and it goes back out. We've got waiting lists for items. We try to be on top of it, but it's almost impossible when so many people need the same thing. Like, you can't be discharged from a local hospital unless you have a car seat. I mean, that makes sense. And we don't get a ton of car seats. So when we get random donations for, hey, use this money to buy whatever. Well, what I buy is car seats. I will buy car seats and pack and plays because we want those children to be safe in the vehicle, safe asleep. So those are the two things that anytime we have any extra money or just general funding that someone will give us, that's what we utilize it for.
And I'm so glad you mentioned that because I have 2 little ones at home. I know that car seats don't expire for about a decade.
7 to 10, yep.
Okay. Obviously, kids are not in the pumpkin seat that long. And I currently have our pumpkin seat sitting right there in our garage because it didn't even cross my mind. When I think of hand-me-downs, I think naively, I just think of clothes. But these items are absolute game changers for families.
They are. We've been told by social workers, I mean, we don't have any data to support this, but what our social workers have told us is they believe that it helps with incidences of abuse and typically, possibly even neglect, because we're giving them swings and bouncers and a place for baby to be safe, not in mom's arms, so that mom can go do something. And, mom's not putting the baby on the couch that they could potentially roll off if they've got a safe swing or a sit-me-up or some other type of baby apparatus that assists in that.
I am so glad that we are talking about this because as you're going through each thing, I'm thinking, no, Laura, you have that too. It's just sitting there. It's just sitting there. It's just sitting there. And it could be used so much more. I do want to also talk about ages. We're talking about babies a lot. How high does helping hand-me-downs help families with the age?
So we carry on site, we have clothing up to XXL for both men and women.
Oh.
And that's for typically the siblings of the families that we're working with. The majority of the families we work with have a child 3 and under. That's kind of how we've evolved. But we do handle older children, and we get a lot of social workers from, maybe Parkway School District or some of the districts that you wouldn't necessarily think have a lot of children in need actually do. And this is a nice way for the social worker to come and receive items from us, serve that family, and the family still maintains some dignity.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because that's something that I was even thinking too when you referenced your female volunteers lovingly packing up all the items based on things that they know kiddos age appropriate would enjoy. It is about dignity. It is hard for someone to say, I need help. As you mentioned, some of your families, this is the first time that they have had to go to an outside agency and ask for help. I'm guessing dignity is at the forefront of everything that Helping Hand-Me-Downs does.
We try. We definitely try. I mean, we will not give out, anything that comes in. We're checking it to make sure it's not stained, it doesn't smell funny, it doesn't have holes in it, it's not overly washed, whatever. And I, to be honest, what's kind of funny is some of the stuff that we won't give out, I would absolutely put on my kids. But the difference is I'm choosing to put it on my kids. I'm not forced to put it on my children. And so that's what we try to remember is when we're giving it, is it something that mom can feel good about putting her child in that and sending that child to daycare or sending that child to school. And if they can't, then get rid of it.
We are just scratching the surface of what Helping Hand-Me-Downs does here in the St. Louis area with the founder, Stephanie Suljak. When we come back, we are going to talk more about nonprofits because I have been amazed at how connected the nonprofit world in St. Louis is. I'm guessing you see that every day?
I do.
Okay, so if it's okay, we're going to talk about the connections and how maybe you're really passionate about this organization. There's a very good chance they work with that organization too. More details to come. We are so thrilled that you are spending part of your day here with us on Live with Laura. Welcome back to Live with Laura. I'm your host, Laura Hettiger, sitting down with Stephanie Suljak, the founder of Helping Hand-Me-Downs, a nonprofit located here in St. Louis. Stephanie, you have been spearheading this amazing organization for 15 years now. What are a few things you have learned about the nonprofit world that you didn't know 16 years ago?
A lot. I would say the numbers would be the first thing. I had no idea so many amazing nonprofits existed. That was a huge shock to me. The more I got into it, and people would call me and like, hey, I run a nonprofit. I'm like, really? What's the name of it? And it was something I'd never heard of. So that would be probably first and foremost. And then second, it's a unique industry, and I kind of thought going from the business world to the nonprofit world would be a little more similar. And it does have some similarities, but there's quite a few differences where, in my mind, if you were a nonprofit, you played well with others. Everyone played well together. And that's just not the case because of grants and exclusions. It's like, okay, well, if you're working with the family, we can't work with the family because we got money from that same grant or whatever it is. And I just didn't know that. And so we as an organization chose to not apply for those restrictive type of grants because we don't ever want to have to tell someone, well, we can't work with you because you're working with that person, or we can't work with you because of this. It's like, we'll work with anybody. Bring it. Well, we are happy to help you.
And the grants is something that I didn't know about either. I love nonprofits. I'm heavily involved in 2 of them. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize how much of the funding did come through these very important grants.
Mm-hmm. They're a challenge.
And it never stops,
No.
is what I've gathered.
It doesn't. And just because you get it one year doesn't mean that you'll get it the next. Usually it means you won't receive it the next year, depending on what you're, it's just an interesting dynamic. And it's hard because it's all about wordsmithing and, how did you position what you're doing? And I don't know how they determine sometimes, the metrics in which they determine who gets what, because to me, it's like if you're serving thousands and thousands of children and you're doing it very well, how do you compare that to an organization that's serving, 10 kids a year, whatever it is? Like, how do you, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what their measurements are, and I'm glad I don't have to make that decision.
I'm glad I don't either. And I'm glad I'm not one of the very talented grant writers that I'm sure you work with and other organizations work with, because it's just a nonstop grind. Mm-hmm. And even though so many organizations are competing for the same dollars, there still is a big connection. And what I have seen is so many organizations do rely on each other. Mm-hmm. And I understand you work with quite a few different nonprofits in the St. Louis area.
We do. I think the last count that we had as far as in our database who have ever referred to us, I think we had about 150 different agencies. So that does not include the bigger agencies who have 30 and 40 social workers. That doesn't include that. That's just the agency that I'm talking about. So there's 150 in that database, so to speak. But on a regular basis, we probably work with around 50, I would say, that we see consistently.
Are you comfortable naming a few of those that maybe people are familiar with?
Sure, absolutely. So Little Bit is one of the ones that we work with, and we provide the street clothing for their boutiques this year. It's a new thing that we're working on where it's kind of a test year to see if it works out for everyone. And they've got an interesting setup. They have a guy that comes out and picks up stuff from us. It's a very unique relationship for us, and it's worked well thus far, but we'll see. Lutheran Family Services is another organization that we work with, Crisis Nursery, any of the doulas that are out there, they refer to us on a pretty consistent basis as well. Anybody that's using Medicaid, they'll get a lot of stuff from us. So there's quite a few.
So 2 of my favorite nonprofits you listed.
Who are your 2? I know it's Little Bit is one,
yes,
but who
and
else?
the Crisis Nursery.
Yes.
And as you were talking about providing so many things for the new moms, I kept thinking about the work that the men and women at the Crisis Nursery do, too, to support their moms. Mm-hmm. And Little Bit, as you mentioned, what they do is so interesting because in the segment before we talked about dignity with their setup of the boutiques. From what I've seen, it is all about that too. And the kid can come in and pick out things that he or she likes, maybe in their favorite color. And I just think that is so special that they are able to go into the boutique, which sounds fancy to begin with, especially as a child. That sounds so cool. And pick out an outfit that they will wear, since so many of the kids do wear uniforms, you mentioned the street clothes that they will be wearing when they're not in school, when they're hanging out with their friends. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
For people watching who want to help, how can they help you?
Well, there's so many ways you can get involved. The three main ways that we like to tell people they can get involved is jump in, be a volunteer, come out and help us. You don't have to do anything. You just show up. I mean, literally, Monday through Friday, 9 to noon, we will never turn you away. I mean, we've never turned away a volunteer, and I don't plan to. So that would be the first thing. You can go to our website and donate financially. That's wonderful as well. That's, we always need money. I think every nonprofit always needs money. And then the other way is just share our information on social media and try to, spread the word, bring in your donations. Like in your case, that stuff that's sitting around your house, what typically happens is the wife gives it to the husband drives it around in the car for a month or two, and then brings it by. That's kind of the evolution of a donation for helping hand-me-downs. And the husband shows up and says, my wife sent me here and I've got donations. And we're like, great, we're so happy to have you, sir. Thank you.
So if we could just speed that up, and so it's not a month or two, we'll be okay with a week or two. How about that? So it gets
that
to
works.
you.
That works.
Let's go back to the volunteers. I think something that people worry about, though, is, well, I can't lift much. I don't know how much time I have to give. How much time does it take?
We have people that'll pop in for like an hour. Half an hour. I mean, whatever it is, and whatever your skill set is, we can pretty much work with it. I mean, we've got drivers that will go and pick up and drop off for us because that's what they prefer to do. We have people who just want to come in and sort clothing. That doesn't really require any lifting. There's just so many things. You can go through books. You can wipe off books. You can clean baby gear that comes in because sometimes stuff gets donated and it's still got a lot of food on it.
Yes.
And we try to wipe that down. So, you can come in and wipe down. We work with a couple different adults with disabilities groups, and they help us as well, which is wonderful. But I truly believe there is a place for everyone. I don't think anyone would ever come to our organization and say, well, there was nothing for me to do. I mean, if they did, they went to the wrong place. I mean, it wasn't us.
And I absolutely envision some of, we'll use today as an example, the Monday group, that either they go to lunch afterward or they text with each other throughout the week, because you develop close bonds with people and nonprofits because you're all there for the same reason.
I think that's true, yes. And they've become friends and they care about one another and they check in on one another, and it's just really neat to see. And I think sometimes, too, some of the volunteers that we have are lonely. Maybe they're in a situation where they just don't have a whole lot of adult conversation in their home for whatever reason. And they come in, and it's, we joke that I'm the chaos coordinator. It's definitely chaotic, but it's fun chaos and it's organized chaos, even though it's chaotic. And people love it. I mean, they seem to just really enjoy being there and want to help and feel like that what they're doing is making an impact.
And it is. I'm sure every time they leave helping hand-me-downs, they're driving off with a smile on their face, knowing that they did help other people.
I hope so. Yeah, that's the goal.
And how many volunteers in total?
I think last year we had around 500. But on a regular basis, like our core group that I know they're coming, there's about 20, 25.
That's fantastic. And most of these people who do have a specific day, the Monday group, how many are in these groups?
There's around 5
Okay.
in each of them, which would be about 25 a week, which is the norm. But sometimes it's like, okay, so and so's traveling or this group or whatever. But these women have been doing it since we opened the doors in Ellisville, which is also wonderful.
I'm glad you mentioned where you're located in Ellisville. How far is Helping Hand-Me-Downs reach, though?
We will serve anyone that can get to us. So if they have a social worker that will come to us, we will serve them. So far we've served Washington County, Franklin County, St. Louis County, St. Charles County. I mean, you name it, we will and we go into Illinois as well if the social worker will come to us.
And that is amazing, especially in the more rural counties that just don't have access to as many things. That is fantastic. And we do need to brag on Stephanie. She is from Centralia, Missouri. Just south of Columbia, you told me. 3,000 in your hometown?
It was about 3,000 when I was there. I think it's bigger now. It might be like 5 now.
Okay.
We're moving up.
Yeah, you are. You've almost doubled population. That's awesome.
But I haven't been there for a long time. So.
But coming from humble beginnings like that with not that many people, you have now created an organization that has helped nearly 50,000 children and families.
Thank you.
How does that feel?
It's awesome. I love it. I mean, I feel like I have the best job in the world. Like, I really do. I don't make a lot, but I feel like it's the best job in the world.
You make a big impact.
Yes, and that's what matters. That's what feeds your soul.
Yes. You're not going to take the money with you when all is said and done.
No.
But you're always going to know how many people you helped for the better.
That is. Yes, that's true. Thank you.
Since starting this and leaving the business world, what have you come to learn about generosity and generosity here in St. Louis?
Wow, that's kind of generosity. I'm always amazed by people. Sometimes, when I say amazed, it's not always a good amazed. Amazed is like, wow. So sometimes some of the people that have means and could literally write you a check for hundreds of thousands of dollars, even $1 million, and it wouldn't impact them at all. They are the stingiest ones that I've dealt with. And then I have other people who aren't necessarily, living anything beyond paycheck to paycheck, and they are so generous, and they are so caring, and they're so kind. And then I've got everything in between, and it's amazing. We've got some good friends that my husband is in a Bible study with this guy, and they have donated. They have a home in Florida, and they have donated that to our gala 2 years in a row, and every time given it for 2 weeks and just different things. And they're just so generous. Like, every time we try to do something back for them, they're like, "Oh, no, we're going to give you some," and you don't expect it, and you're just so in awe by that. I'm really impressed with it. And St. Louis, I think in general, like, they love helping others, and they will genuinely get on board with serving. And I'm fortunate.
Something we talked about off camera is empathy. And I try to live my life by putting myself in other people's shoes and how would I want to be treated if push comes to shove and I need something. And when that need comes, I hope someone's going to step up. And it sounds like this couple in your husband's Bible study, they might live life similar to that, and so many of your other volunteers. And I think it would be interesting if we had a chance to dig in deeper with your friends and some of the volunteers. I bet someone helped them.
Yeah, I'm sure that they did. And I'm also, what I think is interesting about the volunteers is that they, you have two different people when you tell them the story of helping hand-me-downs. And I see it, and I can pretty much peg it, like, before I even hear what they're going to say to me by the way their face looks when I'm talking about what we do. Because people with empathy recognize that a few missteps on their part could have put them in the same situation as the people we're helping. People who lack empathy, they're so distant from that person that they can't even ever, like, they were just making bad choices. No, they weren't. Trust me, these were not choices. Like, this is not, the woman would never choose this. No one would choose this. And so when you see that kind of that dichotomy, you're like, oh man, that's just, it's amazing. But I feel for people when I meet with them that I know they don't have that empathy, and it breaks my heart because I can't imagine walking around without empathy and how bitter you have to be, because I think that's what it is. I think that you become bitter when you lack empathy because you just think that, your world is just different. And I feel for them because the feeling that I have after serving in the community and loving on these kids and loving on these mamas, it just, my heart could explode. And people don't ever, if you don't have any empathy, you never experience that. And that's heartbreaking.
When it comes to empathy, I think I have it personally because my mom taught special education, and she had children who used all different means of communicating and moving around their world, whether it was walkers, wheelchairs, very advanced wheelchairs.
Yes.
And she always said, Laura, they might look different on the outside, but on the inside, they're just like you.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad that she did that. And I'm so glad I had that firsthand experience. Something I worry about, though, is being able to connect with my kids as they grow and show them that the world is different. So I was thrilled to hear that you encourage kiddos to come to the warehouse and help and volunteer.
We do. And the parent needs to be there, obviously. And sometimes when the kids are little, it's literally you just dropping off toys and looking around so that they can see. But another person speaking into your child and letting them, they see pictures, like we can show them pictures from our impact report that shows families that we've served. They can see things, and it puts their mind in a different, it frames things differently. Because as we were talking earlier, your children believe that every parent is like you and your husband. They just believe that until they see otherwise. And then they're like, oh, wow, So for my kids, they grew up knowing nothing but the nonprofit world. So they see things, and it's so cool when you see your kid go help another child find hat and mittens, because they know that child doesn't have them, but they do it with dignity. They do it lovingly, not like, let me find you some hats and gloves because you need them. It's more of a, hey, let's find these that match you, match your coat. Let's find, if it's a little girl, let's find you something that is a little girl thing that you like. Do you like this? Do you like that? And it's just nice to see that. And we definitely encourage that, because we need more people like that.
Yes. Okay, sign Leo and Ella up in a few years to help.
Perfect.
We will make that part of our weekly tradition. Friends, we are talking with Stephanie Suljak. She is the founder of Helping Hand-Me-Downs here in the St. Louis area. Maybe for anyone who has to go before the end of our conversation, how can they get in contact with you?
The best thing is probably just go to our website and then just email me through there, or email one of our service members. We'd be happy to chat with them.
And what is your website?
It's helpinghandmedowns.com.
And then I understand there's going to be a lot of fun to be had this Saturday.
Yes, we will be at Topgolf for 3 hours from 10 to 1. It's brunch and birdies, or birdies and brunch, I can't remember, but it's food and golf. What more could you want? And it will have like a live auction and silent auction and some fun stuff going on. So come join us.
And can people register, or do they just show
They
up?
can still. You need to register,
Okay.
and I think today or tomorrow is the last day of registration, and you can bring your kids. So if your kid likes to golf, like we've got 2 that love golfing, bring your kids. It's not just an adult event.
It sounds like a lot of fun. Again, that is happening this Saturday, Topgolf, the Chesterfield location.
It is, yes.
Perfect. We are talking with Stephanie, again, the founder of Helping Hand-Me-Downs here in the St. Louis area on Live with Laura. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll find out some other things about the nonprofit world. I am very intrigued. I hope you are too. We'll be right back. We hope your Monday is off to a great start, the very first Monday of March, and we are kicking it off with Stephanie Suljak, the founder of Helping Hand-Me-Downs, a nonprofit that has been around for 15 years now. And you mentioned earlier in the conversation, Stephanie, are you building a new warehouse, acquiring a new warehouse?
Well, we are hoping to acquire some land and then build a warehouse on that, which would just really make it a lot easier for us. Right now we have 2 spaces, and they're in the same building, but they're not adjoining. So it makes our life a little fun. So it would be nice if we could do that. And my husband is in the contracting world, and so I've kind of offloaded that to him and his crew to see if they can make that all work for us. But yes, that is the goal. And it would almost triple our size, but it would just be, because it would be customized for us, it would feel so, the flow would be so much easier, because right now we've made do with office space that kind of has a little bit of a warehouse on it, but not really. So this would be ideal.
I am amazed by you for so many reasons, but mainly how many different avenues your life has taken as you have Pardon me. As you have embarked in the nonprofit world, you are in the business world, went with the buyout, became a stay-at-home mom, then created this. Ever in your wildest dreams 15 years ago, did you think you would be talking about buying land to build a warehouse triple the size you're in now?
No. No, I told you, I thought it would just be fun. Like it was going to be like a part-time hobby gig. Like it was, maybe we'd serve 100 families a year. It'd be good. No, I never thought that.
What other things have happened during this journey that you look back and you're like, well, I didn't see that coming?
I think that probably I didn't see that coming could be like the title of my book, like a memoir. I mean, it would be, I didn't see that coming. I don't know. It's interesting. It's like life has a way of just happening. And you're like, okay. And kind of like, you said your mom told you to be the sunshine. My thing was, I feel like to whom much is given, much is also expected. And I've just always felt like that. Like I've always felt like, okay, I've been given so many great things, and I just want to share. I want to make sure that I'm helping others, and I've been able to do that, and I'm very appreciative of that. My husband is he is phenomenal because I've been in situations where, the person at home isn't necessarily your biggest cheerleader, and it's so nice to have someone that's your biggest cheerleader, and he goes along with all my crazy ideas. I mean, if I called him right now, and because we're active foster parents, and if I called him right now and said, hey, there's a set of twins that needs a home for like the next 3 months, and they're only 2 months old, he'd be like, oh, okay, sure. I mean, he would just go along with it, and he's 60. So, I just got really lucky, and so I'm making the most of all of that. We're doing it.
Yes, you are. And I didn't realize you're an active foster parent. So that could happen. You could really get a call.
We are. I don't think we would take any infants. That was, but if we felt like God wanted us to, we would. We would. We would.
You are an inspiration to many, many people. How has this nonprofit changed you personally?
I hope it's made me a better person. I know in the business world, when I was in the business world, I refer to myself as Business Stephanie. And I don't think I liked Business Stephanie very much. I mean, I was very much into the next promotion, the money, the fame, and I enjoyed around Christmas we would do like 100 neediest cases. I really enjoyed that. Sorry, but I'm gonna cough. I'm so sorry.
You are welcome to grab a drink of water. We are all in the same boat here. I fully understand, Stephanie. Take your time. For people who are watching who kind of are sitting in the same situation as you were 16 years ago, and they're saying, you know what, I don't like business Laura, I don't like business Jennifer, but we're too afraid to pivot, what advice would you have?
Just do it. I mean, you really have to. And the visual that I always have in my mind is, because I try to help other young nonprofit, like entrepreneurs, so to speak, I think about it this way. If you've got 1 foot on the dock and 1 foot on the boat, you don't know where that boat can take you. You have to get off the dock. And that old job, that old thing, that old you is the dock. Don't let that dock bring you down. Like, just jump and go. In the worst case, absolute worst case scenario, you fail. I mean, everybody who's successful now failed. So now you're closer to success. So fail, get back up, fail again, fail, and you will eventually experience success. You will. You just got to keep at it.
With success, where do you see Helping Hand-Me-Downs going in the next 5 years? What does that trajectory, a successful one, look like for you?
I feel like we're in this really interesting transition phase right now where we're trying to take something that was homegrown and kind of piecemealed, and we're automating everything, and that should be done by the end of 2016. So I feel like that's going to launch us into a whole new area that we just don't even know. We have no clue what the future holds for us. But what's neat is that instead of us seeking other people for partnerships, other people are now calling us and saying, hey, we want to partner with you. Hey, we want to partner with you. And what's funny is when they realize that we're pretty much all volunteer run, they're like, oh, wow. Okay, so you're producing more with volunteers than this organization with 30 full-time employees. I'm like, well, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. But the volunteers, like I said, they're amazing.
That's a good point, because I don't think a lot of people fully understand just how many jobs there are in nonprofits, or how some nonprofits only have 2 full-time employees. I really figured you had a staff of 30.
Yeah, we wish. But there's 2 people that are part-time. I would say we work full-time, but we're considered part-time. And we're just trying to keep it going. Absolutely.
You're doing a good job.
Well, thank you.
In the last year, your name and Helping Hand-Me-Downs has come up twice in just conversations I have had at the Crisis Nursery and at Little Bit.
Oh.
And then you sent me an email, and I thought, okay, well, I can't really ignore it. This is the 3rd time around that this has popped up. Like, let's get her on the podcast. Let's find out more. So for people who do want to help, what is the greatest need outside of those big ticket items that they can do right now?
Probably the greatest need would be to come and volunteer if you can, because that's what keeps us going. I mean, we have so many donations come in, and we have so many different drives throughout the community that getting it all processed is sometimes a daunting task. I mean, we joke that we walk in and it's literally mounds of clothing, and you have to go through every single piece. You can't just assume if somebody marked on the box, hey, this is what size it is. We hope it is, and it makes it a little easier, but we can't guarantee it is. So we have to touch every piece.
And that's what I was thinking. Just, I feel like as a mom, it's a never-ending thing of rotating clothes and trying to organize it enough by 12 months to 18 months, 18 months to 24 months. But my gosh, you skip a month and it feels like,
yeah,
oh, I've skipped everything. So for people who do want to go ahead and go through their kids' clothes, their grandkids' clothes, and make a donation that way, do they need to wash it before they bring it to you? What does that process look as someone who's going to be donating?
So what we ask is that they come in as clean, clean. So if they already have stains on them, that's not something we can take. So we want it to be clean. And if you can put it in, put all the smaller sizes together and the larger, that helps us. But it's not a necessity. Just get it to us is the most important thing, and we'll sort it out once we get it.
Even though it's called Helping Hand-Me-Downs, I'm guessing there are some new items you would love to be donated to.
Yes, we get a lot of new items, and the majority of our car seats and our pack and plays are new, just because that's kind of our funding model, how that works. But we'll take anything, and we really will. As long as it's for kiddos, we will take it and find a home for it.
What is something that you wish people knew about your organization?
Oh gosh, what is something I wish people knew about our organization? I wish that people could see the spirit behind it in the office, like the feeling. Like you just get this amazing feeling when you walk in the door. And volunteers tell us that, social workers tell us that. Like they say, we always feel so good coming out here. And I think it's just I feel like we just operate at like a certain vibration where, like, when you walk in that door, no matter what's going on in your life, the people who show up are just like, woo, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to serve. So they put on their happy face, even if they've had a horrible morning, and they power through. And then by the end of when they leave, they're like, wait, what was wrong with my morning? They forgot. So
it's almost like a workout.
It is. You get a lot of steps because you're going back and forth because we don't have adjoining buildings. So hold the bags. It's like a CrossFit.
Yes. And then once you have the new warehouse that's 3 times the size, you're definitely going to be getting in your steps.
Right.
Here's a question for you. If every family in the St. Louis community had what they needed, how would St. Louis look different overall?
Oh, gosh. I feel like right now there's such a disparity between the haves and the have-nots, and it creates this divide that doesn't need to be there. So I feel like if everybody had what they needed, it'd just be a lot calmer. Like it would be a nicer place to live. I would say.
What's amazing about you is longevity, 15 years, including through the pandemic. When I drove to work today, I thought about what life was like 6 years ago at the start of COVID. We were still in person, but by the end of next week, we would have all been out of the office. What have you noticed as far as the need for our families differing past the pandemic?
I'm not sure that I've noticed a whole lot of difference in the need. Our model changed greatly as a result, and it is actually a lot better. So prior to the pandemic, we had multiple locations. We had a Soulard office, we had a Pagedale office, we had a city office that was like down off of 2nd. We had a Crystal City office. We were just all over, and we did that thinking that we were helping and being in the locations where the families were and meeting that need personally. And what we found is that we were really spreading our resources too thin. And by putting it all together, specifically out in the county, we were getting better donations. The donations that were coming in prior, maybe 20%, 30% we could use. The donations that are coming in now, we use 90% of the donations. I mean, it's more and it's better. So our distribution model changed greatly, and we weren't sure that social workers would want to make that trip. And now they're planning their week around it. They're saying, hey, I've got 10 orders or whatever. I'm going to pick them up on this date. So they're just consolidating instead of swinging by. But it's definitely, to me, I'm glad that we changed our model. I'm obviously not glad we had a pandemic, but I'm glad that our model was modified.
Yes, there are some positives
Yes.
that did come out of it, just reworking things in general.
Absolutely.
You have kids. Are they going to get into the nonprofit world?
I doubt it. I doubt it. I think I've fried them all on that. My older girls, I have an accountant, and then one is a business owner with her husband. And the younger ones that are still in the home, I don't see either one of them wanting to do the nonprofit work.
Well, whether they're in it as a full-time job, they definitely have it in their hearts to give back to people.
I think they do, yes.
Stephanie, thank you for joining us. One more time, how can people get in contact?
Our website is probably the best way, which is helpinghandmedowns.com. We're also on Instagram, and you can connect with us. Anything, if you get it out there, Cassie or I will get back to you immediately. I think we're pretty prompt with that.
I would say so. She's been great on email, great in person. Thank you for joining us today for Great Day St. Louis. She was part of my mom club. And then here on Live with Laura, the big event happening at Topgolf this Saturday in Chesterfield. You said 10 to 1?
Yes, 10 to 1.
You can register by checking out their website, helpinghandmedowns.com. I do apologize for my coughing.
Mine too. We're both struggling.
But we're trying. We're doing our best, St. Louis. So how about this? Until next time, thank you for listening, thank you for learning, and thank you for being live with Laura.